Hey everyone, we're about to go for a little walk in the woods. Turn up the big flashlight. Take a look at that, there's fog. You can see fog now. Yeah, there's fog. There's the big tall birdhouse we made last year, still standing. Everyone thought that pole was gonna snap because it's like a pencil. Well, that's what people said, it was like a pencil. That thing's very strong. The only issue I had with it was swaying in the wind. The bolts were slightly moving back and forth a little bit. Had to put a few screws in there so the holes wouldn't keep getting bigger. But all's good. Nothing's lived in it yet, but I've built so many birdhouses over the years. In the country, they never ever get used. If you're in the city, they always get used because there's a lack of trees, lack of opportunities for birds to build nests. Well, the water table's high. Look at this. You see, look at in front of the light, look at all the mist in the air. That's cool to see. Yeah, it's a bit squishy here on the trail. That's why we put a few stepping stones, because this area here is often a lot squishier. Look at that. That's some bright, beautiful peat moss all over the place. Beautiful peat moss. Now these areas where I built the boardwalk are always wet. Even in the biggest drought, there's always squishiness as we get into the swamp. So the well right here, I primed it up, got it going the other day. Very orange water. In here, sometimes there'd be tadpole eggs. Not this year. Ooh, that's cool. Oh wow, that's actually cool. Look at this. Right next to the well. See the trickling water? Very active groundwater there. Yep. This water's always here. Underneath this boardwalk we'll actually have a good trickle when it rains. You see right here how the ground's all disturbed. Right here you can definitely see how the ground's disturbed. Oh, as I aim the light, I'm even seeing earthworms here in the woods. If you saw my last video, there was earthworms everywhere. Because it just rains so much, they all have to come out of the ground or they'll drown. So they're all walking around on the surface. Frogs are having a field day today. This peat moss is beautiful. It's all over my woods. So many different varieties of moss. So far, this year is being wet again, just like last year. Last year was our wettest year on record. That's actually not true. But it's the wettest year I've ever seen since I moved north. And as a kid, anytime I'd move or go on vacation up north, I remember it always being very rainy and cool. Last year was awesome. The average summer high was in the 60s Fahrenheit. That was so awesome. Right around 20 degrees Celsius every day, the average. That was awesome. Especially after a few years of being extremely warm and dry. The moss started taking over. All the trees did really well. I think we're gonna have another good year. The mature trees, some of them are still stressed out. Love walking in the woods like this. See, you got this little area of digging. Could have been a turkey. I also realized skunks in my yard like to dig a lot of holes. We can see coyotes out here. The bears are now out of hibernation. Haven't seen the bear yet this year. We're still waiting on them. The big bears. No bears yet. This year, we already have seen on the trail cameras our bobcat. Raccoons, haven't seen them in a bit either. Haven't seen Bigfoot yet this year. This is kind of eerie. You see the mist, fog through the woods. Creepy. Oh, look at these trees. I was out here during a windstorm, actually. The roots right here were lifting up and down, up and down, every time the wind would blow. Trees haven't fallen over yet. I don't think they'll be able to re-secure themselves, but it's not gonna fall on anything important. It looks like it might. The branches might puncture this pond, but can't really do anything about that. So this pond here, I don't think any frogs have laid eggs in it. Yeah, nothing lived in it last year either. There was a frog at it every now and then, but they weren't living here. So this one, I think I'm gonna go ahead and throw some mosquito dunks in it. Mosquito dunks are a thing you throw in the water, creates an oil film on the top of it. Safe for things to drink from it, safe for birds to splash around in it, but it deprives oxygen in the water so mosquito larvae can't survive, but also so tadpoles can't survive. So you gotta make sure nothing's living in it before you do it. Remember, tadpoles can be carnivorous. When they get a little bigger, they'll eat the mosquito larvae, so it's good to have them around. But it being here in the shade, tadpoles would develop so slowly that they just wouldn't become frogs in 1 year. So you put them here, this is going to freeze solid and they're all going to die in the winter. So we don't stock this pond at all. If we found anything in here, we'd have to move it to the bigger pond when winter comes. Because it's so shady in the woods, there's no heat. Tadpoles don't turn into a frog unless they have some sunshine. They need warmth to develop. The frogs that I mostly breed are wood frogs, and their tadpoles usually are a little frog by July, and they hop off into the woods because they're more toad-like. They don't stay in the water like most frogs. And then we got most frogs, like green frogs, bullfrogs, they choose to lay their eggs in the middle of the summer. They hatch into a tadpole. Those tadpoles usually have to go through a winter. And they're like a fish underneath the ice, eating all winter. They need a pond that's big enough where it doesn't freeze solid. And I only have one pond, maybe two ponds. One of them also might not freeze, but one of them definitely won't freeze because it's 4 feet deep. And yeah, and bullfrogs, their tadpoles are huge. Sometimes they will take multiple years to even turn into a frog. All depends on food, all depends on the warmth. Got a good trickle of water here. That's nice, underneath this bridge. Sometimes this little teeny creek, you can't call it a creek. Well, some people use the term seasonal creek. It's basically a drainage ditch if you call it a seasonal creek. Only when it rains, only during a spring thaw, but sometimes this little seasonal creek, there'll be water up to here. It'll be quite a bit. If I look at the ground, yeah, there are a lot of earthworms still out here. Everywhere. Too bad I haven't been fishing since I was like 12 or something. There's so much fishing bait here. I realized tonight the property has become very, very healthy. The amount of frogs, the amount of fish reproducing in the big pond, it's very healthy. Doing water testing was very healthy. The amount of earthworms in the yard today, when I was walking around showing in my video before this, it was excessive amounts of earthworms. Everywhere you step, there'd be a whole bunch of them just trying to sneak right back into the ground. Look at all the leaves opening up. All the buds, all the trees are budding just in the past literal day. We had a couple very deep freezes, way below freezing, like -18. No, I got that backwards. 18 Fahrenheit, maybe -10 Celsius. That's very cold for this time of year. We had that at the beginning of the week, but it looks like all the trees realize it's probably spring now, probably not going to be another frost. The leaves are just opening before my eyes. My hosta plants, with all the rain today, it being a very warm day, literally the hosta plants grew by at least an inch. They were little pointy stubs, which are frost-proof in the morning. And now they already started opening into little leaves. It's so cool. Remember, walking in the woods like this, at least for me, if I'm walking myself, I can be a little nervous. You hear little noises and stuff. But if I'm out here talking to everyone on the camera feels like I'm with someone. And that doesn't make it any safer, but it might, because you ever notice it's so hard and there's so few sightings of Bigfoot on camera. Bigfoot's very camera shy. Bigfoot will not come near you if you're filming while you're walking in the woods. Just can't take that risk of getting caught. But if the camera's off, you'll hear weird noises and things. Wow, look at those rocks. Those moss on that's just beautiful. Actually, I'm going to show you one of the most beautiful moss-covered rocks in my opinion. It's not the biggest, but it's right over here by our pallet house. This pallet house did good. It survived the winter. We didn't have that much snow, though. Yeah, it's right behind the pallet house. There's this beautiful rock. In this pallet house, I think this will be here a while. I purposely built it with an overhang that's huge. Doesn't even get wet. So that'll probably be there a while before it starts rotting. I'm amazed our heavy windstorms didn't blow it over or anything. There's no support underneath this roof. Look at this. And the snow never tried crushing it. Wow. And there was at one point 8 inches on it before it slid off. Didn't bend it or anything. There's a little birdhouse. Up top there, we're being resourceful. Found that dumpster diving. A big commercial security camera housing. I removed the lens on the end of it, hoping a bird would live in it. But once again, in the country, birds don't really want to live in a nest. Here's the back of the pallet house. Yeah, this one right here. I love this rock. It's just so bright green. Every part of that rock is just covered. I'm going to end the little vlog here. Actually, I'm going to take you to the little stream first. Here's the earthworm thing again. There's one. Some of them don't try to move. There's another one. Oh, 2 more. Another one. Another one. And so a lot of them are like halfway in the ground. They're ready for predators and they just immediately just jump into the ground. There's another one. Another one. It's a good day to be something like a skunk that loves eating worms. I always see little holes in my garden from the skunks digging, looking for bugs and worms like this. Oh, look at, there's a giant one that just went into the ground. There's 2 more. Another big one right there just went in the ground. Another one, a third one, another one. You see, there's just excessive amounts of worms everywhere, especially in my lawn. Does that mean the lawn is just very healthy? But when it comes to worms and grubs, we also got this everywhere. I don't really mind them. They're not that bad. This is mold damage, all these holes. Yep, excessive amounts of worms. But that's really good for the animals. It's a large food supply. I'd say we got about 1.5 inches of rain. That's good. Oh, more earthworms. I wonder how many I've accidentally stepped on. Probably hundreds of them. It's just like trying to avoid ants. Rained a good amount today. The creek is running a little bit high, but not flooding. I gotta rip down a few spider webs in front of me. Creek is doing good. It's going too fast. We're not gonna see salamanders hanging out in it today, but I am actually surprised to see this one. Look at that. There's a frog down there. It's one of our wood frogs. Any more frogs hanging out by the creek? This is some hand soap that I used to keep at the bridge like 4 years ago. Everyone knows that. Originally I built this little dam because I didn't have working water for the first couple years living here at the house. It was an abandoned building. When it foreclosed, the bank never winterized the house. Well, actually, they had a plumber come out, put winterization tape on all the faucets and toilets. The plumber poured a little bit of antifreeze inside the toilets. Didn't blow out any of the lines with air, nothing. busted plumbing all over the house. So couldn't afford to fix that for a few years, so we use this, take buckets of this in the house, microwave it, sponge bath. We'd also, after using the bathroom in the woods, we'd come over here, use some hand soap. This hand soap, you see that dirty mark on it? Yeah, it got washed away in a storm. This creek one time went way over this bridge, even enough to knock my cinder block chair down. Yep. Just a week ago I found this when I was hiking downstream quite a ways. Just found it stuck somewhere. Can't wait until summer. My frog army will be back again. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great day.